Hey, it's Ollie, and while I don't quite have my format down and what kind of videos I want to make, there is one thing I did see which was kind of weird. Commercials. They're pretty strange if you start thinking about them in a realistic manner. I was with a couple of friends and they were watching some cop drama about, I don't know, cops being dramatic, and I started noticing a lot of really weird things happening in the commercials. For instance, one of the things I noticed that was kind of weird is that everything was so clean, so sterile, kind of like it was a hospital or something, which is kind of weird because real life has dirt and grime. It has a lot of gross things in it. But commercials will never show you any of those gross things, especially ones featuring families of 2 or 3 kids. I feel like that's a lot to ask a family who has so many children. Personally, whenever I visit friends and family who have multiple kids, there are toys everywhere, and the parents are busy so they can't quite get to everything. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, that's just life. So it's kind of strange when you're actually looking at the commercial and noticing these things. Another weird thing I noticed is that who's eating all that food? There are a lot of those commercials that have like Burger King or Red Lobster, and they have food everywhere. And there's just a giant banquet. Burgers, lobsters, onion rings, fries. Who's eating it all? I mean, you go to a place like that and really just order 1 or 2 different things to eat, usually just one, and you don't really eat it all. Especially when you go to a restaurant, you don't necessarily eat everything that the restaurant gives you. Usually you're full by halfway through. So it's kind of weird to see this huge banquet of food because it's more than likely that nobody's going to be eating it all. So what do they do with it? Just throw it away? I assume the reason they do this is because they want to have as many very different food types as possible so that when you see the commercial, you'll find your favorite food type and then you'll want to eat it. I don't really know that for sure. That's just kind of what I would assume. Still kind of weird though. Another thing I noticed that was kind of weird is where are all the crowds of people? There are so many commercials that have people walking around pyramids or beaches or they're going to a restaurant and there's nobody else there. Real life has crowds. Real life has lots of people. And sometimes you have to rework your entire structure just because you tried to go to the restaurant and it was full, or you tried to go to the beach and it was full. These types of ads, especially ones featuring alcohol, feature 2 or 3 people sitting on the beach just enjoying themselves when that's not usually a thing. There's kids screaming and seagulls happening and beach smells and tides coming in. It's not that you can't have a good time at the beach with crowds, but it doesn't usually look like that. Another thing is, who are they talking to? I mean, usually they have those commercials with people walking and talking to the camera. Sometimes they're a mom talking about messes, sometimes an insurance guy trying to sell you stuff, but they're always walking towards the camera. If we pretend like this is real life and that there are no cameras, then who? There's nobody there. Are they just walking down the street talking to themselves and everybody around them has to put up with it? Boy, that would get kind of annoying. And kind of along with that, when there are other people sitting next to them, for instance, a guy is talking in an office and walking forward to the camera and all these other people are on their phone, are they getting mad at him? And really, the last thing is, who are these people talking to each other? It's never really outright stated who these 2 people are. It could be, for example, a guy and a girl. It could be best friends, they could be brother and sister, they could be going out. You don't really know, and the commercial never really tells you. It's really up to the viewer to decide and make the correct assumptions based on what's being presented in front of you. If there are a couple guys on a couch watching a game and some lady walks in with a bowl of chips or something, you could pretty much correctly assume that these 2 are best friends and that's one of their wives. As soon as one of them uses the word honey, then you figure out exactly whose wife that is. And that's really a more organic way to tell a story, rather than just explicitly stating. I mean, usually people don't refer to each other as sister, brother. Mom and dad are usually the only ones that you can get away with because kids actually call their parents that. But otherwise, in real life, you have to make assumptions about people based on what you can see. So watching commercials get that right is kind of funny and strange. All in all, I know this video went pretty quick, but it just seems like there are a lot of weird things that happen in commercials. If it were real, it would be a pretty strange place to live. Anyway, still figuring out the format, but if you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the like button and do all that good stuff, and I'm gonna go do some stuff.